Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob, on a week that we can't lose.
Oh, yes. But we can lose at the same point by going over where we are in the season right now as we do our bye-week mid-season review, but really it's like 2/3 of the way season review, I guess. Not really a bye-week per se. I would have midweek per se. It is a bye week, obviously.
I was about to say it's definitely a bye week.
We're like 2/3 of the way through the season, though. Like not like really halfway.
Yeah. I mean, we played 12 games, 6 more to go.
Whoa, we're 2/3 of the way there.
Oh,
we suck ass this year.
I was going to say service.
We suck ass this year. All right, guys. So. Listen, we wanted to do some things positive, some things negative. You know, last year we did a whole like, okay, here's where the offense is, here's where the defense is. Let's be honest. This year we're not the same team. We don't want to focus too much on the negative stuff because there's a lot of negative. Let's be very frank. We're at where we are because shit hasn't been going right. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
So,
top 10 draft pick conversation.
Yeah. So what we did was we gave you guys some negatives, some positives this year. And I want to start off with the negatives because I want to end it on a positive note. I feel like if we ended it with a negative, we leave here with a negative attitude. I want everybody to leave with positivity and good feelings overall.
When I go to bed tonight, I want to dream about unicorns and rainbows.
Yes, the unicorns poop rainbows.
They fart rainbows.
Oh. And what is a fart? It's an introduction to a poop coming up.
Touche. I was hoping they poop golds and they fart the rainbow, and that's what you follow.
Sure, you've been pooping some gold at the jalapenos yesterday.
No, those are napalm and firebombs. Did you not see that GIF I sent you earlier?
I did. For those who missed it, yesterday Rob had to eat some jalapenos because of losing a couple weeks ago in our weekly pick battle there. Again, whoever loses this week has to eat sardines right from the can. I
wish we would have came up with something for last week because, man.
Yep. If only you had paid your bet first.
Shellacked.
I didn't get shellacked. I still had a good week. Wow, we get all cocky. You have an amazing week.
Oh, you beat me by 1 or 2. You're like, I shellacked you.
No, because I was consistently beating you. I was consistently beating you by 1 or 2. Oh. It's a shellacking when it's consistent. All right, let's get to the negative here since we're being all negative. So I think we're talking negatives for this season. There's one name that has to come up number one. And there's going to divide some people on the fact that this is number one.
Tyler Taylor.
Because this person has a ability to divide Giants fans like no other.
Kafka.
The disappointment, the biggest disappointment of 2023 has to be Daniel Jones.
100%.
It's got to be Daniel Jones. I mean, such a huge regression. And listen, even those of us who are realistic, and I always consider myself the realistic. Like, I'm not a Daniel Jones hater. I'm not a Daniel Jones, infatuator or infatuatee. I don't know what. Yeah, again, there we go. Enthusiast, that works. But I've always been kind of riding that middle at that point there. I saw some positives. I saw some negatives. But I saw last year a guy who led us with a really crappy team into the playoffs, won a playoff game with a bad line, bad receivers. And I thought, okay, let's get him some receivers. Let's see what he can do. Let's be honest and say the NFC doesn't exactly have the premier quarterbacks in the league. And I'm like, okay, he could do something here. We could maybe do something with this. Boy, was I wrong. Whoa.
Yeah, and you even said that he might be a Pro Bowler this year.
Listen, I mean, look. Let me deviate from our topic for a second there, and say, who would you really put as Pro Bowler right now at quarterback in the NFC? You got Jalen Hurts, Goff,
Hurts.
Jack.
Yeah.
Not exactly amazing list. Sorry.
Derek Carr. Blah,
blah. That's what I'm saying. So
Brock Purdy is actually going to be in that conversation.
But I'm saying
he's number one in a lot of the stats.
I still say it's a legitimate claim that I made that he had a chance to get the Pro Bowl.
Listen,
the problem is you said it last year,
and I agree with you going into this year.
Yeah, this year, like I said, it made some sense. I expected him to get better. Woo, was I wrong? Bad, very, very bad.
Very, very injured and very, very bad.
But I mean, again, the injuries didn't stop him from not reading defenses, not seeing unblocked, players, not releasing the ball in time, missing open players. I mean, all the things. Not getting the chicken palm. All the things that you expected. So, yeah, definitely number one. And I want to put him at number two even. That's how big. Well, number one and number two. Daniel Jones.
Womp.
Next up for the biggest bust and disappointment of the year. The offensive line.
I mean, we all knew that.
I mean, for all we talk about Daniel Jones, the offensive line didn't really do a great job of protecting him. The offensive line did a good job protecting Tyrod Taylor or Tommy DeVito or making holes for Saquon Barkley or Matt Breida. I mean, again, I can't put them number one because of all the injuries. We talked about the injuries to Daniel Jones. Well, let's look at the injuries to the offensive line here. Andrew Thomas has been injured basically all year long. Ben Bredesen missed some time with the concussion. Originally Josh Azudu was starting, then he gets hurt, and we're on like our third or fourth guard at this point with Justin Pugh coming off the street, starting left tackle one game for us. Even JMS missed some time.
12 Evan weeks. Neal, I feel like we had 8 different lineups for that offensive line.
Evan Neal's been out for quite a while with his second job flipping burgers. I mean, it's just like it's been just really, really bad. So, again, that's just where I'm at. It's just I can't put them number one because of how bad Daniel Jones is and how much we expected of him. I don't think any of us expected a Pro Bowl season out of anybody in the line except for Thomas.
Correct.
I think we knew we were a below average line, but I don't think any of us expected this shit show.
No.
So, yeah, number two has got to be the offensive line.
And it's a close 2 to the number one because I feel like those flip-flop because DJ's bad play made the line look worse. That line playing bad made DJ look worse.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a flippity flop.
It's definitely on both sides. And neither one of them takes all the blame, but neither one of them takes none of the blame.
100%.
So now number three kind of ties it with number two, but this man has earned his own spot on this list. Because we talked about this. We said going into this year, we said we have a left tackle who we have a lot of faith in, and I still have faith in him. He's just battling an injury, and I give him credit for trying to battle through it, even though I still think the coaching staff should take him out of the games and let him heal up for next year. But I give him credit for it. We said we have a center that we're optimistic about, but we're also realistic that he's a rookie and he's going to take time to develop probably. We have guards that we were never too confident in the guards. We're like, hopefully they just don't embarrass themselves, But we said that one man could control how good this line is this year or not. And that how good or bad he does will determine how good or bad this offensive line is.
Listen, the weakest link in the chain is the weakest link. It's a silly statement, but
we said the offensive line was shit. Well, guess who is definitely shit on this line? Mr. Evan Neal, Mr. 7th round pick in the 22 NFL draft.
7th pick, not 7th round.
Oh, he should have been a 7th round pick. Oops, my bad.
Yeah.
Freudian slip there.
Oops.
7th overall pick should have been a 7th round pick. He's been really, really bad. I didn't expect him to go from being really, just below average to bad last year. I did not expect him to go to
no one expected
caliber.
Yeah, no one expected him to go nuclear this year.
I just wanted average.
We just want to see better play.
He's gotten worse.
Yeah.
He's gotten worse.
There's too many memes I've seen of him just let it up.
Yeah.
Pass rush. It's just like, I'm going to block over here. Meanwhile, to my right, a foot over, someone's running by me. Instead of going to try to stop, he just commits to the left.
Yeah, it's bad. And I want to attribute some of it to coaching with Bobby Johnson. We all know how big of a fan we are of Bobby Johnson, the show. We've been calling for his head since he was hired, basically.
Bobby.
But some of it's got to go at him. And this was a guy with high expectations. And you know what's kind of scary about the whole thing, too? We all, when the 22 draft was going around, pick number 5 comes up. We had the option of Kayvon or the 2 quote-unquote stud tackles in the draft. And there was some debate on which one to take. I think the Giants made the right move in what they did. That's neither here nor there. But you look at it now and you go, okay, we got Kayvon Thibodeau, who's got 11 sacks in the season already, blowing it up as a pass rusher. But I'm saying blowing it up as a pass rusher. And then you see the other guy that some people thought we should have taken at number 5 just to risk not losing him to the Panthers when they drafted at 6. And he's shit. Absolute shit. Could you imagine if we had missed out on getting him? Kayvon and like drafted Neal and like the Panthers drafted Kayvon and then we're just stuck at 7th, whatever. Oh my gosh. The revolt there would have been. Absolute revolt. Like who would we have taken at number 7?
I was about to say I would have to look at that draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that could have been an absolute revolt. But I mean, like I said, it's really disappointing for a guy that, a lot of us had high expectations of, myself included. He looks like a beast in Alabama. Joe Shane just talked about that in his presser. And he did look like a beast in Alabama. I don't know if it's fully Bobby Johnson. I don't know if it's him just not having stuff, carry over to the NFL. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. So either he's got to improve or he's got to move to guard or he's got to get the hell out of the way. And not like getting out of the way like he's been doing, letting people to get through to the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a bad analogy.
Go to the bench. Go to the bench.
Yeah. That's a terrible analogy.
You know what I meant? I caught it on. I caught on myself there. All righty. Next up on our list of disappointments this year.
Ow.
Yes, the injury bug.
Ow.
The injury bug.
It just hit me. Ow.
I mean, how many people have we seen on this injury report now? Like, wow. I can't remember a team like, especially on the offensive side, this injured. We talked about it. Almost every single offensive lineman base that's started, including a lot of the backups now too as well, injured. Daniel Jones injured. Tyrod Taylor injured. Darren Waller injured. Saquon Barkley injured.
Evan Neal injured.
Well,
JMS
that might be
injured. Oh yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying, like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
With the injuries to the offensive line.
That's what I'm saying. Basically, every single offensive lineman's been injured. We're down to our 3rd quarterback. Our starting running back was out for a while. Our stud tight end's been out for a while now. We've been healthy. I guess at receiver. Defensive side of the ball, you had Dexter Lawrence now battling a hamstring injury. You had Azeez Ojulari out for a while. You had DeRay Jackson dealing with stuff as well. I mean, it's like, goddamn, that's a lot.
Can we get some of those healthy pills?
Yeah, like what the hell, guys? And I don't even know who to blame on that. I mean, I'll tell you, I want to blame Brian Dable. And the reason I do want to blame him for this is because I really don't think he prepped this team correctly in the offseason. I think he went way too soft in camp. And I don't think they were ready for the heavy hits. I really don't. And I don't know if that's still going on at this point. I would think not. I mean, Hotel, we're freaking, 12 weeks into the damn season. But it's like, I really still have an issue with how he handled the camp and everything. I mean, look how soft we looked when we went to go practice against the Lions. But some of the injuries and stuff in the beginning, I wonder, is it because we went out to them doing cakewalk practices pretty much the whole offseason? And then having to play and not even playing in the preseason except for that one drive, the starters. And then they go right into the regular season.
This is not the Masters League. This is not the old man's league. These are a bunch of young bucks. Injury is the name of the game. And like I can't see blaming injury on coaching. They still worked out. They still did their drills. They still were.
Listen, they jazzercised basically. They basically jazzercised.
Just because they weren't full contact.
Put a Richard Simmons
because they were full hard hitting each other in practice with the one lady in the background just
who wears short shorts? Richard Simmons wears short shorts.
I'm going to disagree with that. Like I can't blame it on Dable. I understood where he was coming from. If you understand your plays, and if you're still active, taking the hits is going to probably prevent more injuries than actual injuries to themselves. Because majority of your injuries of anyone that plays pro sports or just even amateur sports, majority of your injuries come from practice. And a lot of
talking about practice,
just practice here, but a lot of
stats would say otherwise this year.
Maybe, but it also just we're the only team that underlines to that point, and we're not the only team that fugazi a soft preseason.
No,
and the Lions are injured too as well, and they had a tough practice. We saw that firsthand, and I reiterate when we talked about preseason week 3 when we played the Lions, a lot of MMA fighters.
That was the first
week. Sorry. Whatever week it was. A lot of preseason. A lot of MMA fighters that are professional, high-profile, big athletes who are at the top of their game, they don't spar every day. They don't spar heavy every day because you get injured more during practice than you do in actual events.
You still got to toughen up a little, though.
A little bit, but that's not going to prevent injury per se.
It will.
So I'm going to disagree with.
I think you get your body used to taking hits, getting everything going. I really do. I'm old school like that.
Listen, if you know what you're doing, and if your body's acclimated to it, like you don't need to take big hits.
Excuse me.
Every
we're
day.
We're 4-8 after winning our last 2 games. I don't think we know what we're doing. I think it's safe to say.
Okay, I mean, it's not like they played
just
that
saying.
They didn't play that many more quarters in the preseason last year, and they played a lot better last year.
I disagree with the last year too. It just didn't backfire as much. Just saying. All right, next up on our list. And this is a very broad stroke. Like if you were going to paint a picture, this is your widest brush you have. This is like a roller.
Yeah, this is like a roller with the 10-foot extension.
Yes. Because the next one is the offense as a whole. The entire offense. We've gone over all the injuries, obviously, but still 11.8 points per game. And let's be very clear in the fact that that is a significant increase in the last couple weeks.
Yes.
We were on pace to legitimately be one of the worst offenses in the last 20, 25 years. Like it would have been top 3 worst. But I think we did it's the number. I think it was 3rd worst in this century.
Yeah, we're pretty sure we talked about 3 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, but we gotten better. Like I said, we were at that point. We were like 9 points and change. Now we're almost at 12 points. So we're getting better. Moving on up to the east side,
getting them chicken cutlets
in the sky high. So like I said, I guess where things are getting better, but it's like it's frustrating because as much as the defense has had some bad games, as much as the defense has given up some points, I do think a lot of that problem on the defense is because they're tired, they're frustrated, you know.
Listen,
and
defenses aren't made to play 40 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think the offense is just what's killed this team, basically. I really do, and it's just an absolute shame. It really is. I mean, it goes top to bottom. I mean, we called out. We said that Isaiah Hodgins would probably take a leap backwards this year. I've taken such a leap forwards last year. There's tape. People are watching him, and what has he done? Not much of anything. Paris Campbell.
I mean,
yeah. Darren Waller, while he's been good, don't get me wrong. Darren Waller's been good. I think people can underestimate how good he's been, but part of the problem is he came in with such high expectations, and he hasn't met those expectations. He's been good, not great.
Correct.
Again, we talked about the quarterback situation, the offensive line situation, or everything, just top and bottom. I think the only thing you could say that's gone really well so far would be potentially Saquon Barkley, but then he's had the injury too.
I mean, you can't take that away from him. He's still
away from him. Oh no!
Even with his injuries, his stats, I want to say he's still top 8 running back in the league right now.
Let's see here. Most rushing yards in 2023. I'm going to look up that one, and then I'm also going to look up most total yards in 2023 because I do want to look at that because he is supposed to be that total weapon at that point, you know. So let's see where he's at here.
I mean, was it 2 weeks ago against the Commanders where he didn't have any rushing yards, but he had all receiving yards in the second half?
So Saquon Barkley is 865 complete total yards there at that point. That puts him in the category of guys like Brandon Ayuk, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, you know. So
but Tony Pollard
he's definitely
two great games this past 2 weeks. Otherwise,
but it's also the injuries. Yeah, it's also the injuries. So, you got to include that as part of the equation here. Now, as far as he is number 9 right now in total yards rushing.
Oh, so it was right outside.
In 9 yards played. 9 games played. Whereas everybody else above him has had 11 to 12 games. So you figure you add 2 or 3 more onto that status at that point, and he's probably
he was out for 3 weeks for the high ankle sprain. So 3 to 4 weeks.
So I'm saying, so if you put that back into it, he's basically 697. He's basically at 700. Okay, there's only one player above 800 right now, and that's CMC at 939. So he'd be basically the second best running back in the league this season.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Like I said, he's the only positive I can really give you on the offense overall as a whole. So, yeah. Otherwise, all poop.
Big old poop.
The last biggest bust disappointment here on the season here that we're going to go over today is one that I don't think gets enough talk. I really don't hear much about it.
The problem is with this is because what we just discussed with everything else we just said.
I know, but it still needs to be discussed.
Terrible offense.
It still needs to be discussed.
It has to be. You're 100% right.
I don't want to be all offense, the negative. There is one negative in the defense we have to talk about, and that's the lack of sacks. especially for a team that leads the league and it's rushing the quarterback, going at man coverage, it's all on blitzing. I mean, that's what we do. We have just 21 sacks on the season, guys. That's the fourth
one man
least.
Has half it.
It's the fourth least in the league. Keep in mind that most teams have had their bye week by now. So we technically have an extra game compared to a lot of these teams. And we're still fourth worst in the league with an extra game. That's bad.
It is. I mean, we've also both just put a little glimmer of light onto it. Like, we both also talked about sacks aren't the only stat that matters on defense.
No. Granted, but you see it in the game.
But we need them. But at the same time, if you put the quarterback under pressure and makes a bad throw, it's not as good as a sack, but it's also not that far off. You put pressure on a quarterback and he throws an interception. Is that better than a sack? Or I guess it depends whether the corner gets tackles.
We're not getting to the quarterback overall, and it's not in the rushes, it's not in the QB hits. Like, we're just not getting there. And it's when you're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at an offense there, and you're not doing it still. That's an issue.
Who brought the kitchen sink? Was it Dexter Lawrence? Because he's a big guy.
It was. So of the 21, Kayvon has 11. Dexter Lawrence has 4. So that's 15 of them right there. So you got 6 sacks out of the entire rest of the team. Number 3, by the way, is Jihad Ward at 1.5. Jihad Ward is one of your top 3 pass rushers. That's an issue. So this is one of those things that what we really need to do is improve this group in the offseason. And you and I talked about it ad nauseum during the offseason last year that we wanted to go get a veteran guy. You know, how many times did I mention the words Justin and Houston next to each other? Ad nauseum. You know, we talked about JPP coming back even potentially. You know, every single year, and I mean like clockwork, every single year, there is pass rushing specialists that are getting a little long in the tooth that are available. And they're available cheap usually because they just want to extend their career a little bit. They're going to go ahead and come in on third down, obvious passing plays, and they're going to go, you know, pin their ears back and go right for the quarterback.
And collect a couple mil.
And that's what we got to do. We got to get those kind of guys because if you can't get to the quarterback, especially this defense, where your whole thing is predicated about, you know, stopping the timing, making the quarterback make mistakes, it's an issue.
Yeah.
And no matter how much, let me be very clear on this, no matter how much you do this next offseason coming up, you don't go from being the worst offense in the league to the best offense overnight. That takes a couple of years.
Usually. But although I'm going to give you a very sideline stat right now that I just heard.
You're going to the Texans, aren't you?
No. I was going to. Well, they did a pretty good job. I'm just going to say, since the Super Bowl era, there's been no team that had a subpar record and then a new coach coming in and then taking them to the Super Bowl like Sean Payton, because he's about to do that twice. So that's an overnight statement. He did it for the Saints, and it looks like he's about to do it for the Broncos. Especially, he's about to be the 4th or maybe the 5th team in Super Bowl era that starts off 1-5 and go to a playoff game.
Well, A, we'll see there's a long way to go, and B, that's still not a scary offense.
It's not, but it's a scary defense right now.
So that's not what we're talking about. We talked about the defense. We talked about the offense.
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm saying you don't go from being one of the worst offenses in the league, if not the worst, to going to be one of the best in one season. That takes a little bit of time.
I'm saying the Broncos was one of the worst, and they're
still one of the worst.
They're just about above average right now. They're about above average.
Yeah, but they're not elite.
They're not elite, but they're doing enough to.
So again, what the point I was trying to make is that we're going to have to improve the defense a little as well, because the offense, no matter what, next year is going to need some help in the defense.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at there.
Okay, we're both trying to get to the same place here. We just have different roads. We're taking different roads.
I'm just trying to say, you beef up this defense, make it a little better. It allows room for the offense to make mistakes.
We need one more corner, or we need some pass rushers.
Fair enough.
So, all right, let's get on to some positives. Actually, no, we do have one more negative. It's a quick one. This season overall, just negative.
Such a negative Nancy.
I don't think we need to say anything else, right? Yeah.
Listen, when your third string quarterback has as many wins as Bill Belichick,
that's usually good.
Season.
It's usually good. Yeah. Not this year.
Yeah. That's it.
Let's get into some positives, though. Before we do that, guess what time it is?
Pay them bills.
It's time to pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Oh, yes. Let's go to the comments here. CPNY Sports Network. What's up, fellas? What's up, man?
Yo, buddy.
And he says Daniel Jones, LOL. Because you knew that I was going to Daniel Jones with that first one there.
How can we not?
We got Beeve in the house. Oh, and she got some cuss words for us. I like it. She says, I just want to say something, and I don't give a shit if you agree with me. The whole problem is OC. OC, that's the Brown line. That guy is fucking terrible. He couldn't play for a high school team. I don't disagree necessarily that Kafka's a big part of the problem with the offense, but I did recognize that this comment went up when we were talking about Daniel Jones. I'm at the point, I've said it before, so I don't want to keep beating this dead horse. I'm at the point where I just don't think he's a quarterback that can take us to where we want to be. No disrespect to him. I have a lot of respect for the man. I just don't think he'll ever be the quarterback that gets us to the Super Bowl. And if he's not going to get us there, I got to move on.
Yeah, if he showed what he did last year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But he digressed
big time
to his sophomore year. I don't want to say his rookie year because he played his second best as his
probably
rookie.
Did. Yeah, I mean, you can't say Kafka was the guy who let guys go right through to him with nobody even touching him. Like, that's an adjustment that Daniel Jones should have made at the line when those situations happen. You can't say it's Kafka that missed guys when they were wide open for throws. Again, and I'm not saying Kafka's innocent in this.
I'm not.
Just saying.
But at the same time, Daniel Jones did not make those mistakes last year.
Nope.
Granted, he may have not adjusted that line. Maybe he needs help. Maybe he doesn't understand how to adjust those lines. But he made those throws.
I said, if you don't know how to adjust them in year 5.
Well, listen, I mean, year 5 and you're on 4 different offensive coordinators and head coaches. Maybe he needs better coaching about how to adjust them because he's taken from, Garrett from years back. And we all know how that works out for any offense. But at least last year, he knew how to get out of the pocket and make those throws, or at least make plays for positive yards and not get sacked.
We do have a follow-up here as well, which apparently made a big mistake. So I'll apologize. First off, I'm a guy, not a girl. It's the nickname, the Beaver. So I definitely apologize about that. I'm not trying to do that to you there. Let's see. Second off, I don't care what quarterback you put at this team. You're going to be fucked. Why are we still only average 11 points a game with 3 different quarterbacks? Yeah, again. But why does this offense also look better without Daniel Jones?
It's a fair statement. Like I just said, Our most winningest quarterback is our third string undrafted free agent quarterback that we picked up this season.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just done. Just done. Like I said, I have a ton of respect for Daniel Jones. I do. Ton of respect for the guy. I mean, hell, the guy tore his goddamn ACL and went to go out and play still.
Listen, I am pro DJ, 100%. But I have to agree with Drew. If he's not going to take us to the holy end of the Super Bowl, what are we doing?
Yeah.
The grass isn't always greener, but when your grass is giving you mildew and feces.
Like I said, if you're missing open receivers, you're not getting your blocks, your line in place at that point at the line of scrimmage. In year 5, it's time to go.
Like I said, even if he digressed just a bit, a smidge, and he was still able to make positive plays and not get sacked, that's one thing. But now he's just not making those throws and just losing yards.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem.
And Beav also says, what teams did Daniel Jones play? What teams did DeVito play? That should answer your question. Very simple. Oh, I don't dispute that at all. But again, I have higher expectations of a quarterback that's year 5 in the league than I do, especially one that's drafted first round, than I do one that's an undrafted rookie free agent. And I'm not even saying Tommy DeVito is better than Daniel Jones. He's not. Anybody who says that is just fucking shit, for brains at that point. But what I am going to say is the offense has looked better with him in it. And that's not to say Daniel Jones couldn't do better, but he didn't do better. And I understand that he played against a lot of good teams, but you still got to get it to happen at this point. Like I said, I'm not saying blow the top off of the greatest defenses in the league. I'm not saying go crazy.
Yeah.
But do you really want to sit there and look at the Seattle Seahawks right now and say they were a great offense and defense? They're a great team that we shouldn't be able to beat them when they're right now 6-5, look like crap the last couple weeks. Again, they've had some injuries as well.
We got a lot of injuries.
But I'm just saying, like, we also played the Niners when they had some injuries as well.
Not so much.
Nursing players.
That was probably the best game we played against an elite team.
We got spanked
twice
by the Cowboys. When I'm sorry, the Cowboys still haven't beat a single team that's even close to 500. I'm still not that impressed with them until they have an actual meaningful win. I'm just saying, like, we weren't even close in these games except for the Niner game. It's the only game we were somewhat close in.
That's what I'm saying. It's the only thing you give respect to. And the Niners. Yeah.
Like I said, I got to move on. That's where it boils down to. All right. So Beaval says college is not the pros. Bottom line, just because you look great in college does not mean you're going to make it in the pros. And that was when we were discussing Evan Neal. Yeah. Well, that was during the discussion for Evan Neal, and 100% agreed. It's weird because
back off quarterbacks.
it's not just the talent level that I see different in him if you watch tape, because I did look back at some of his tape there in Alabama after Joe Shane said that. It's not just a talent level thing. It's an attitude thing. It's a comfortness, kind of thing. Like he doesn't look comfortable in the line, whereas he had that attitude. And I don't know if maybe he isn't that good, and maybe he's just been showing up, and that's why he doesn't have that comfort, that wasn't that attitude, that grit that he had in college. But it's just not there.
I mean, he could also be a guy that was going to be a burger flipper who made it to the NFL, and now he's going to make his big fat sum, and he's content of just making that sum.
I'm going to be very happy if he ends up having to flip burgers for a living. I'm just saying. Just because of that comment, I'm sorry. Anytime as a player you attack fans, you lost me right there.
Give him a little respect. He's probably going to be a busboy. He's going to collect tips so he doesn't have to.
Our shit we buy is what pays your fucking salary, Evan Neal. Shut up. I'm sorry. That just pisses me off when a player does that. I'll hold the grudge on that guy forever. I really will. As long as he's a Giant, I'll root for him to do well. But the second he's gone,
Then he goes to Vegas.
and he's in a ditch somewhere, homeless. I'll be laughing.
I won't go that far.
Maybe not.
But when he goes to move
extreme.
back with his mom and dad.
Extreme. Yeah. That is a little extreme. All right. Deb says, you mentioned getting a QB in the second round and not to reach. I think very few franchises came out of the second. Franchise QBs came out of the second round. If we do want an elite QB, we've got to get it early in the first round. You know what? I'm going to do this real quick. And I wasn't planning on doing this, so bear with me a second here. I'm going to.
Yeah.
So and I'm not saying that we have to do it either. I'm not even saying we have to draft a quarterback at all. Let me be very clear on that. I don't want us to reach overall.
No, but at the same time, let's look at the first round picks of quarterbacks.
So here's
Trevor Lawrence has probably been the best in the past 5 years of coming out, and has he been elite?
Well, here's what I was doing. I was doing a little different, actually. I wanted to look at the team by team where they got their quarterback from, and has it worked out. So you got Dolphins and Tua, Josh Allen and the Bills. That obviously worked out. First round picks for both. You got the Jets first round pick in Zach Wilson. Patriots Mac Jones definitely didn't work out. Chiefs, yes, it worked out. They went ahead and got a first round pick. Broncos traded for theirs. Raiders are a shit show, and they got a fourth round pick starting right now. Chargers got a first rounder. Ravens got a first rounder. Steelers got a first rounder. It's not working out. Browns traded. Bengals first
Lamar's
rounder.
Working out.
Jags. No, Browns.
Oh, I thought you said. Sorry, I thought you said Baltimore.
No, Ravens got a first rounder. Steelers got a first rounder. That's not working out. Browns
traded
for
one. Say
Bengals have a first.
Pickens is not working out.
Burrow's working Jaguars. Out. Jaguars first round pick working out. Colts to be determined. Texas seems to be working out. Titans got a second round pick starting right now. Eagles first round pick. Cowboys fourth round pick. Giants. I don't know what you want to say about us right now. Commanders third round pick. 49ers, 7th round pick. Seahawks, second round pick. Rams traded for theirs. Cardinals got a first rounder. Lions traded for theirs. Vikings free agent. First round pick for the Bears and the Packers. I'm just saying, I'm looking at these things, and it's not as uncommon. And again, I'm not going to sit there and say that it's, okay, get a second round pick, and there's a high chance that you win with this, okay? But what I am saying is that I would rather get a quality player in the first round when we have a top 10 pick than go ahead and reach for a quarterback that we're not confident in. And then when he proves our lack of confidence correct, we ended up with nothing for that pick, basically, except a very expensive backup quarterback like the Jets have. You got to realize you still got to pay these people. You still got to pay these people. Zach Wilson, let's look at him as a classic example here. Zach Wilson over the cap. I'm looking at that right now for you guys. So he counts for this year alone $9.5 million against the cap. Next year he counts $11.1 million against the cap. Yes,
and 7 moms.
He's 11.2 basically against the cap next year, and he'll be their backup quarterback again. And they can't cut him because it's all guaranteed money. That's what I don't want to happen. That to me is worse than not taking a quarterback because you're not confident any that are available at that point. That's all I mean. And like I said, if you want to take a shot on somebody in the second round and hope you hit gold, it's not a big deal.
And once again, it's also where we fall in this draft and where we find ourselves comfortable going for a quarterback. Like, I hear what Deb is saying, like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that fall into the second round, you take them and they're a bust. But you also just said CJ Stroud was taken at what pick?
Second overall.
Oh, I thought you said
but I mean, if you want to go second rounders that are starting right now as far as success stories, you're talking Geno Smith, you're talking Derek Carr, you're talking what's his name? Jalen Hurts. But you can go later and go with guys like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott.
Carr's not a good example. Eugene took himself 10 years to develop himself.
Oh, again,
you don't want to take.
I'm not suggesting that it's like an obvious, like, this is going to work, no problem. What I am saying though is if you have faith that somebody can be developed in the second round in this draft specifically because of how QB rich it is,
it's written quarterbacks.
Go for it, because that's what I think is going to happen. And she said I saw a list of them from 2001 until now, and a lot of buses. Oh yeah, you're gonna find a ton of them. Let's be honest. You got a 50-50 rate basically on top 10 quarterbacks. I think that's fair to say, correct? Would you agree, Rob?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Also, look at the top 10 picks out of the drafts, and you're probably the same lump of statistics of how many were a bust. Like,
yeah,
are you gonna try to tell me that Jamarcus Russell, that was drafted in the first round by the Raiders, wind up having a great career?
But here's what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, the Giants pick at number 8. Let's say hypothetically. I'm just throwing a number out there. And, May and Caleb Williams are both gone. And the Giants don't really love any of the other guys that are left over. I would rather them wait to the second round, see who's available, and go, okay, Michael Penix dropped. Let's take him. Or Jay Daniels dropped. Let's take him. Or, hey, none of them dropped. We're just not going to take one. I'd rather that than pay, like I said, showed you the numbers of what Zach Wilson's making, because I'm going to show you now what Will Levis is making. I want to use him as a good example. His second-round pick. Same we're talking about here. He's going to make $1.7 million this year, 2.1 next year, 2.6 year 3. Year 4, you can actually cut him and save some money against the cap. But if you keep him, it's $3 million. That's
Seems
the difference.
A lot better than a mil.
But I'm saying that's the difference, is the cap number. And again, if you're confident, go for it. Shoot your shot. But if you're not confident, it's a mistake that could cost you. Think about it this way. How many players that were really good players got signed for like $5 million this offseason? That could be 2 really good players that you're missing out on because you took a shot at a guy you weren't even confident with to begin with.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And let's also be honest that whoever they take a quarterback, if they take a first-round quarterback and that guy does not win, that's their job.
Off with his head.
Abel and Joe Shane gone. Now, if they do a second-round quarterback, they can tell ownership, hey, listen, we just want to bring somebody in the mix and see if we can develop him. That's a much different conversation.
Yes. And a lot of people want that first-round QB, and that's a success story. And like we said, it's like a 50% shot if they're going to be average in the NFL, not even below average, just average or elite. So you're taking a big gamble. And look at Frank Wright. He had to go with Bryce Young. 11 games. He's fired. Do we want that for Dable?
Gone.
Bye.
So, no. All righty. Let's go on to the positives though, because we went off some negatives here. Look, we got comments that are like sad comments, like, hey, this OC sucks, or hey, no matter who we draft, where we draft, we're screwed, basically. So let's get some positives here.
Yeah.
Best surprises. When we did this list and I was putting the notes together, there was something that happened that I didn't even realize happened, because I gotta say, I haven't seen much on the media on this at all. We talked about all year long about how Bobby Okereke was going to break the record for most tackles in the season, which is 111, set by Michael Barrow back in 2003. Guess how many tackles he has?
More than 111.
113 he got after last week's game. He broke the record. He's got 5 more games to go, guys.
Let's say a third of the season left.
So he's going to probably be more like 140, 150 when this whole thing's said and done. So he's going to obliterate this record. That's got to be a huge positive there. Plus, we've seen him in coverage everywhere. He was a little bit slow to start, I felt, with defense a little bit, and as he got comfortable, beast.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he's doing off defense. People are like, oh, he's supposed to be this guy, and like in the first 2 games, like he played good, but he didn't have these stats.
Yeah.
But you look at him, 2 weeks ago when he had that, or last week when he had the big old pick, he had the most yards in the positive for the Giants against the Pats.
He was their best offensive player. They never played one play in the offense.
Yeah. I mean, when you get that pick, what was it, 46 yards?
Yeah. Like I said, he's been really special to watch this year. And it's been a pleasure to watch him. And it's a player now that we have that we know going forward we can build around because he's under contract for several years. And he's still young enough to do this for several years. So, good pickup by Joe Shane and his crew. And glad to see it happen because that's a position we've been desperate for a talented player at for how many years? Oof. Feels like forever. Now we have to talk about another guy here that Bobby knows pretty well. That also not quite as impressive there, but I got to bring him up next to him, even though he's not necessarily my number 2 biggest surprise, but because of where he plays, and that's Micah McFadden. Because we didn't really have high hopes for Micah McFadden.
I was about to say he was like on the borderline of the cut blocks or not making the team.
And instead, he has shown tremendous growth and improvement over this year. I really feel like. I feel like he's gotten to the point where I don't think he'll ever become a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. Like, I'm not kidding myself. You guys know me better than that. I'm not that homer fan that thinks everybody's a Pro Bowler on our team. But I do think he's developing to be a solid LB2. And considering where he was drafted and considering how he looked last year, that's a solid growth from year 1 to year 2. That's a solid growth. So, kudos to him because I know it's a lot of hard work on his end to get there. That doesn't happen because you ate some bonbons in the offseason and got up and started going after the tackling sled on day 1. Like, that's not how it works. That's him working hard
and get some tackles.
Ooh, I do love some hot pot. Just had a whole bunch of Thai food tonight, actually. Thai and sushi. Pad Thai.
Ooh.
I had Pad Thai. I had some Philadelphia roll, which is really funny because Dakota just popped in. I see in the comments section. I had a Philadelphia roll as the Eagle fan pops in. And I had some other.
You know what I had? I had a chicken parm sandwich.
Oh. All righty. Let's get on to our third positive good surprise here. And this is, I got to say, I feel like you and I were wrong on this guy. I think we should.
More you than I.
Well, neither one of us were like, "Ooh, this is a good pick." We were definitely not too high on him coming out of college. But Deonte Banks, he's definitely shown some flashes this year. He's excelled as a CB2. He did get exposed a little bit when he had to be the CB1 when Dory Jackson went down for a little while there. But I think he's definitely exceeded expectations we had for him. And
as a rookie,
doing that as a CB is pretty big.
As a rookie.
Yeah, but doing it as a CB, though, is pretty big because that's the position people typically, aren't that good on rookie year.
Yeah, it takes sophomore to junior year to actually start developing, being in the positive end. He's playing to, yeah.
Yeah, typically, yeah. I mean, that's definitely where we're at here. Next up here, one of the very rare positives on our offense, Jalen Hyatt. He's been a steal where we got him. I think really shown that when we get a legit QB, he could be a legit receiver with a potentially very high ceiling. And I don't know how high that ceiling is, guys. I'm not trying to say he's going to be same as we talked about the Micah McFadden. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's going to be a stud receiver and he's going to be number 1.
Yeah, that's in the next Megatron.
Yeah, but this is a legit NFL receiver, a legit deep threat. And, I'm going to throw this comparison to who he reminds me a lot of. Since Dakota's talking trash in her chat here, I see him like crazy going off here. Who he reminds me of a little bit to a certain degree?
Who's that?
An ex-Eagle. Deshaun Jackson.
I was about to say, shady.
He reminds me of Deshaun Jackson a little bit. Very, very fast.
Little
Gets
guy.
the deep ball. Because remember, not only was Deshaun Jackson a very fast guy, and he didn't use that speed just to get open for short routes, he used it for just beelining down the field. I think the guy averaged close to 20 yards of reception for his career. And I think that's what this kid's going to be. Now, is he going to have the same career that Deshaun Jackson had? Hell, I'll be freaking happy as hell if that happens. That man just finished. I think he just retired this week, actually. So kudos to him. 15,000 yards or something like that he had in his career.
Something absurd.
Like absolutely insane. Like, but again, he was never that guy that had the 1,400, 1,500 yard season. I think he had like 1 or 2 years at like 13 or 1,200. Most of them were right around that 1,000 or 900 or 1,100
on the drives.
Yeah. Oh, don't even tell me with the punt return game. But I'm saying, I wonder if that's what's going to happen to him, if he's going to be that kind of player. Again, not necessarily the longevity, not necessarily being to that extent of, being a borderline Pro Bowler year in, year out. But I could see that. I think that is his ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, he's just coming off being voted, the Pepsi Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I got it real quick because I think it's funny. Dakota says, when we met, you told me Jalen would be exposed. I still think he's been exposed. I don't think he's that good still. I still stand by that. Sorry, Dakota. It is what it is.
He's better than a lot of people thought that are outside of the Philadelphia area. Not to say that he is a Peyton Manning. I
still stand by, if you give any quarterback, that's even an average quarterback, like Jalen Hurts is, he's an average quarterback. If you give any quarterback a top 3 line in the NFL, like he has, at the very least, if not the best line, you give him 2 Pro Bowl caliber, 1 All-Pro caliber receiver, you give him, a good offensive coach, yeah, you better succeed with that. If you can't, you shouldn't be in the league.
I mean, his old offensive coach just got fired.
His old offensive coach. Oh, you're talking about him being good. I'm talking about the last couple of years that he's been good. So, I'm not going to give a quarterback credit for a team thing. That's what it is, a team thing. All right. We're gonna ignore the Eagle fan who's going crazy in our chat, but keep the comments going. Keep the comments going, Dakota, because it helps push this out to people. By the way, as we're talking about Jalen Hyatt there, we have to mention also he got voted Pepsi Offensive Rookie of the Week last year. Last week, when he went, of course, 109 yards against the Patriots there last week. So kudos to Jalen Hyatt on his best game yet, and hopefully, what we should expect going forward there from him. Next up, a guy we talked about there briefly when we talked about the negatives there is Kayvon Thibodeau.
I think Thibodeau hurts Dakota's butt.
He'll get over it. He's good people. He knows he can take it. He's got thick skin. But yeah, I mean, guy's developed into a top flight sack artist. Still has some work to do, I think, in the run game and positions and stuff like that. And that's what got him a lot of slack in the beginning when the sacks weren't there of the season there. But 11 sacks, that puts him in the talks of some of the best Giants. I don't want to say defensive linemen because it's been like it's summer linemen, summer linebackers, but sack artists.
I was going to say best sack artist in the past 20 years. He is tied for the best.
Yeah,
and he's in very good company.
Yeah, so only we're talking Strahan, LT, JPP. Like this is the category of people that he's in with as far as pass rushing and sacking the quarterbacks. I don't think he's to their extent as far as that good of a player yet as those guys are, because he has the deficiencies we mentioned on the run game stuff. But listen, anytime you are second year in the league and your name is in the conversation with guys like again, Strahan, Lawrence Taylor, JPP, OC Umenyiora. You're doing something right.
In the past 20 years,
Leonard Marshall. I mean, you're doing something right.
In the past 20 years, the best sack artist through 12 weeks is now Tibbs at 11, Strahan at 11, and JPP at 10.5.
Yeah.
Good conversation to be in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like if we were a better team overall, he'd be getting a whole lot more press for what he's doing. Him and Bobby Okereke both, like they're on pace to do special things in the history books of New York Giants lore overall. I mean, he's not going to break Strahan's record, obviously, because Strahan is like one of the best, one of the best seasons of all time, 22 and a half sacks in 2001. But he's gonna be one of the best years at that point, though, ever. Number 2 is 20 and a half with Lawrence Taylor in 86. He probably won't hit that. 03 Strahan, number 3. 18 and a half. Then you go down to 16 and a half with JPP. Now, this is where he's probably going to end up. He's going to be probably top 5 if he keeps up this pace.
As a sophomore, great company to be with.
Seriously, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's as legit as it gets. I mean, you're talking about as the second year in the league, doing better than having more sacks than Leonard Marshall, OC Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, Heath Hamilton, any of these guys have ever had. He's already on the list if you go to StatsMuse right now of most sacks. It's really impressive. So, good for him. Good for him, man.
Oh, sacks, here we come.
At least we got something positive to say,
Yeah.
The last one we have here on positives, guys. This is kind of a crazy positive for me because, especially at the beginning of the season, if you told me this would have been a positive.
Listen, we talk about the beginning of the season about this guy and how he should never be on the field, and not as not as a slap against him, but just where we would be in the season if we have to have him in. But and guess where we're at?
We're riding a 2-game winning streak with him. Mr. Tommy DeVito. So I think I think Tommy DeVito is one of those weird surprise things in multiple ways because not only is he excelling past what we expected of him, but he's made it where, let's be very frank, there are some people just watching Giant football to see what he does because he's liked that much by the fans already. Because he's from Jersey, first off, so he's a hometown boy. He's legit Italian, which how many of us in the area are legit Italian?
Jersey Italian.
and how many of us that are in the area that aren't Italian act like we're Italian?
50% of non-Italians. Act like they're Italian.
I'm only 20%, so I'll claim Italian heritage, but I'm not gonna sit there and say like I'm that guy with gold chains and hairy chest here. I do have a few strands, but
I look Italian.
He's liked because of that kind of stuff there. And then on top of that, you got the fact that we're all of a sudden winning a couple of games. He's looking better as he plays more. And like I said, it's making it more fun to watch what is a horrible season to watch overall. But I think the biggest thing,
he's like the Karate Kid. He's like Ralph Macchio.
I think the biggest thing really though is that he has shown he could grow into a capable backup in this league.
Yes.
So I don't think he'll ever start.
He's like the Karate Kid before Cobra Kai came out. He's the best Back up around.
He's the best leftover.
Back up.
Everybody
Around.
else is on the IR. He's the best
We
leftover.
have.
But I mean, that's where we're at, though. I mean, again, I think we all anticipate having to draft a quarterback this draft coming up here, and we probably will. Where, who, whatever. There's going to be a new quarterback in this team at some way, shape, or form. Who knows?
We're not bringing Tyrod back.
Maybe there's some surprise guy that ends up in the trading block and we trade for a quarterback or something. I don't know. We're gonna get a quarterback here. Daniel Jones is gonna be here next year as well because of that contract. As much as we talked about, what if we get rid of him? Blah blah blah. Let's be honest, we're probably not gonna. We have to eat so much money to get rid of him. It's not even funny. We're basically to pay him his salary, not to show up otherwise.
That's funny.
So
I said like 2 weeks ago.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But
and Joe Shane also. Not Shane, I'm sorry. Mara came out saying that he still has faith in DJ. So
again, they're all talking bullshit in case he needs to play next year. That's all that is.
I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just calling it out what it is. But what I'm getting at though is Daniel Jones won't be here past next year. That's how we can cut our losses. So you give DeVito another chance to sit around for a year and learn more. And in year 3, he's a capable backup for us potentially, very inexpensive, with starting experience now. I can't tell you how valuable that is.
Basement.
Living in his, I think by then he'll move out.
Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah, he's doing signings now and stuff like that. I saw that on Facebook. Like it was offer for to go to a signing he was doing at some restaurant in I want to say it was Montclair.
That makes sense because he's up Livingston?
Well, it doesn't matter. Montclair is right next to the stadium. Keep in mind.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's 20 minutes from there. I'm saying he's up.
Not
Livingston,
even.
So
I mean, depending on traffic, obviously, it could be 5 minutes or half an hour.
Yeah,
it's that part of Jersey. Who knows? You could get up and walk and be faster, depending on traffic. Yeah. So, but I mean, again, it's right next to it. But I'm just saying, he's gonna find some way to make some money and get out. He's a young lad. He's going to find himself a girl and start a family.
He's going to have himself a good old family.
He'll find himself a young woman that cooks cutlet like mama.
Yeah. Or mama's going to teach him. Or her.
Hey, listen, either one can cook. We're a modern world we live in.
Touche. Listen, I retired to become a cook.
All right, let's give really quick the recap there of that. After we get through our comments, we're going to skip a lot of Dakota's comments here though, because he did say hi Dakota, even though he left already. Then he started talking a whole bunch of trash, and he said wow, which is the reaction a lot of people give to us there. And he said whatever, you guys have a good night. Jalen Hurts is bad ... And I'm glad he agrees with us.
Thanks.
Again, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is trash, by the way. I just think he's an average quarterback looking great because of the surrounding cast.
I'm going to say he's above average. He put in the work. He was below average his freshman year. He did put in the work. As much as it pains me to say, he put in the work and he did look better. But the Eagles also built around him to hide a lot of his weaknesses and give him a lot of things to excel his strengths.
Yes.
His strength. So it's making him look a lot better. But also look at this team this year. They are probably the worst 10-1 team that's coming to this league in a very long time. They're a house of cards.
I will not.
They pull out wins. They know what? They're a better version of the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. That's what.
No, you know what? I'm not gonna give credit to Jalen Hurts specifically till one of two scenarios happens. Either the team loses talent in the offseason at some point, and he can still continue doing what he does, or they go through a ton of injuries, and he still keeps them moving along. I know Lane Johnson's injured right now. I know, obviously, their tight end has been injured like 2 years in a row, but they haven't gone through a ton of injuries where he's gone back to an average team that he's had to lift back up to where they were.
If Kelsey stayed retired, this could have been a completely different Eagles team.
He might retire this year. Who knows?
He's also been saying that for the past 5 years. But
he might retire They both might retire. Both Kelseys and go touring with Taylor Swift. We'll see.
Maybe and just do the podcast.
There you go. Deb gives us an update there on the Cowboys Seahawks, by the way. 21-20, the Seahawks were up when she put that there. I'm going to look real quick for you guys, see if that's still where it's at. 28-20 now. So the Seahawks are up as the Cowboys continue the fact they cannot beat a team with a winning record.
Drew,
I thought because this, we're both gonna be wrong if that stays.
Yeah,
that's fine. We're both wrong.
I mean, at least we picked the over.
Yeah, they're both wrong. Did either of us pick the Seahawks to beat the spread? I can't remember that now.
No, I'm pretty sure we both took. I'm pretty sure we both took Dallas.
I'm pretty sure we did. We treated the Seahawks like a below 500 team because of how bad they've been playing lately, and I think solid.
I took it because
it didn't work out right now.
Kenneth Walker III was injured. You had Eugene Smith,
Esquire,
also known as Gino, playing with an ankle sprain, who's not been playing well.
Yeah, we both picked the boys to win, the boys for the spread pick and the over. So yeah, at least we'll get the over under right. Or who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Deb also says, I read that DeVito turned away more money from the Commanders. And yes, I had heard the same exact thing. He also had a lot of interest from the Patriots as well. But the guy grew up a Giant fan. He wanted to be here. And I think it's part of why the fans like this guy too. Like, he wanted to be a Giant. There's not a lot of players anymore that want to be a Giant. Let's be honest. Between our shitty stadium and the last couple of years, how bad we've been, minus last year, there's not a lot of guys saying, I want to be a Giant. Not until we start winning again. So we had some guys wanted to come this year because we're winning. But next year off season, going to be hard to attract some people.
Side note, real fast, talking about tonight's game. You got Geno Smith that has 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Dak Prescott has 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the big difference here is Metcalf has 131 yards off of 5 catches, and CeeDee Lamb with 7 catches and 82 yards. Oh, guess what? Metcalf has 2 touchdowns, doubling what CeeDee Lamb has. That's the game.
Yeah, but CeeDee Lamb is still a better player. I'm still going to say it.
I mean,
no disrespect to Metcalf. He's a really good player, but
he's also a guy that plays next to Lockett, who's. I'm saying that you can say that, but he's also a guy that plays next to Lockett.
I did say it.
I'm just saying it's not like CeeDee Lamb has to play next to another CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just giving some highlights. I was looking at the stats.
All righty. Well, let's go on to CP's question, because he said Jones's dead cap after 2024 is $22 million, right? So that depends on how they do it. So after 24, his dead cap is $22.2 million, and we saved 19.4 basically against the cap if we cut him. Or, and I know it's never done this way, but this might be a situation that makes sense to do it. If we cut him post June 1st, we only have an $11.1 million dead cap, and we have $30 million in savings. Now, keep in mind that means we have $11 million the following year that hits the cap as well, if you do it that way. But they're like I said, we'll have to see what they do. To see what they do entirely. All righty, guys. So Rob and I were actually discussing in private chat during this episode tonight, because we got a little bit of a later start here. Thursday nights, crazy nights for us here. So since we're not going to have a game to give you guys a post-game reaction show to, we are going to give you guys a show tomorrow. So we're going to do a show tomorrow. Oh, yes, we're going to do a show tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to go over just a quick rundown on all the quarterbacks coming up available in this upcoming draft. Potentially. I have to say that because nobody's actually declared for the draft. We're just guessing. We could also go into that of whether or not we think they're going to go in. Like, Caleb Williams came out today and said point blank, like, all this talk about me being the first overall pick, I haven't even declared for the draft. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Keep in mind, these NIL deals make it where these guys are making money in college. It's not like they're like, listen, like, and I don't know what people's individual things are, but let's say Caleb Williams had like like a parent in money trouble or something like that. Those scenarios aren't happening anymore. Guys aren't just rushing for cash because they're making money in college. They're fine.
Yeah. And also, it's a long ways away from the draft. There's plenty of time left in college.
Oh, yeah.
Not that much time left in college, but plenty
and I
of time.
Think, and I think with Caleb Williams specifically, he's going to be very specific on where he wants to be drafted. He'll want to pull an Eli, and I think he'll pull that like I'll undeclare for the draft, or I'll go play somewhere else for a year in the CFL or something. Like I don't know. Something about me says this is going to be an interesting draft with him specifically.
Yeah,
I
can see that.
He's going to kind of navigate to where he wants to play. And I don't know where he wants to play.
He's going to get picked up by Vegas, and he's going to be like going back to school.
Well, I don't think you can do it at that point. I got to look at what the window is when you can stop by. But I'm sure there is. Most of them have that. But I think once you hire an agent and all is when you're done.
So,
I think
that's
specifically the rule.
As we're talking about QB, where they're going to go, let's talk about that number 1 draft pick that the Panthers have that they're going to forfeit.
Oh, let's not do that. We have no Panthers fans here to rub in their face.
No, I'm just saying, right now, Fields isn't looking so bad. Do you go and take Caleb Williams?
Actually, there was a rumor today that somebody threw out. Actually, it wasn't even a rumor. It was a scenario, I should say, that our buddy and friend of the show, Tommy G of SI Giants Country there, mentioned about what would happen if, like, let's say we can't get the top quarterback we want, and the Bears get Caleb Williams, and they offered, a trade package to go ahead and get Justin Fields, a Giant. I don't like it personally. I'm not a Justin Fields guy. But that's what I mean when I say there's plenty of options this offseason. There really is plenty of options.
I'm not a fan of Justin Fields.
I'm not.
But he's also kind of proven himself
to not be winner.
Well, I mean, no one on the Bears is a winner. And
I'm just saying.
There's talent on the Bears.
They played better with Tyson Bagent. They did.
That's not true. That's not true.
I disagree with you.
Oh, I disagree with you.
They played better. I disagree with you.
If they finish out the year and they win the next 3 games with that number 1 draft pick, they're probably I'm going to assume if you're in Chicago and you're like, all right, Fields is our guy, instead of taking Caleb Williams, you might sell off that number 1 draft pick
again
for a couple of other first-round draft picks and pick up offensive line and a receiver.
It would make sense, but at the same point, they might have another Caleb Williams and decide to do that anyway. He's the guy that people are going to love. He's going to hate. I think he's the next Ryan Leaf personally. So we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong. Obviously, everything is guess and conjecture when it comes to these guys who have to step foot on the NFL field. But something about him, and I get back to the whole crying in his mommy's lap and everything thing, and some of the comments that come out and just tells me not strong enough mentally for some areas, and New York's one of them.
Yeah, no, he's not meant for our market.
No. All right. Well, we'll get into that conversation tomorrow, guys. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, be there or be square. This is not one of those situations where it's hip to be square, so don't do it. So again, guys, as always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch. Wrong thing. We didn't say Twix tonight. And of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile.
Juice LinkedIn. Which side are you on today?
I'm over this side, the same side I'm always on. And as always, we're available the next day on every audio podcast platform known to man. So Amazon, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, name it, we're on it. So please hit the like, hit the subscribe, share, tell a friend, ring the bell on YouTube. Oh yes, it'll be a fun time had by all. And we'll keep listening.
For you, big click for us.
I've noticed some of the other Giants content creators, by the way, are kind of stepping back a little bit and doing a little bit less shows because, let's be honest, guys, things
We suck again.
Yeah, things have not gone the Giants' ways, and we'll be honest, from a business standpoint, when the Giants aren't doing good, anybody who talks about the Giants, typically their show is not doing as good as it would be otherwise. We don't give a damn. We're doing it. We're continuing it. We're keeping it going. We know that real Giants fans are here for the long haul. We're with you guys. So
Plus,
we'll see you guys
football.
again. No, we've been doing it otherwise on the phone, so it is what it is. So, so again, we'll see you guys again tomorrow night. And of course, as always, Giant fans, win, lose, or draw, let's go, G-Man!
Go, G-Man! G-Man!
Go, G-Man! G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?
Thank you to those who have signed up for our silver gold levels of membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.